Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello. This is... I'm sorry, guys. We just flipped each other off before we started recording. Hello. This is Stacy over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by...
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We're doing great over here.
We're in rare form.
It's an evening recording session, so you know it's going to be a good one.
Yep.
But also, I'm like super sick, so you will not hear any clearing of throats or coughing in this episode because I'm a really fucking good editor.
Yeah, you are. There was an episode a few episodes ago, guys, that I sneezed, and I thought it was the funniest thing, and I continued laughing. And for some weird reason, when I sneeze, I yell the words hot chocolate. It's this really annoying thing that I've just done since I was a kid. Don't ask. And the look on Megan's face, and in my head, I'm like, she's not going to be able to edit this out. Like, that was, no.
It was flawless, baby.
Wizard. You wouldn't even know I had a tickle in my nostrils. So she is the editing wizard. But besides being a little ill, how are you, Megan?
I'm okay. It's been a week since I got home from my Hotel Mira adventure. So the high has definitely worn off a little bit. But I haven't like sunk too far into the depression yet. So
I'm sure the daylight savings time is really helping.
Yeah, it's so much helping,
You're doing great.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
We're doing great. We have Stranger Things to look forward to.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, time off is always good too. I'm excited for just having some Thanksgiving break coming up soon. I know you have
do you
fun
have
plans.
Tomorrow off?
No. Do you have tomorrow off?
Yeah, it's Veterans Day.
Is it Veterans Day? We never have Veterans Day off. I don't know why.
Well, here's to all our vets, but Megan sucks to suck.
Yeah.
No, I do have fun plans for Thanksgiving. Andy, Brindy, and Rachel are going to come down. We are going to do a viewing party. We're going to have Stranger Things themed snacks. We're going to actually dress up as characters, and we're going to watch Volume 1 the night before Thanksgiving. Maybe even make a few Stranger Things themed cocktails.
Love it.
I am very jazzed. But this week, including last week, since we've last talked, it's been jam-packed with tons of content. We had an amazing Stranger Things day. That was when the LA premiere happened. I know our friend Az was there outside. It was incredible just seeing the entire cast there. Everybody looked phenomenal. There were a lot of great interviews. Of course, Joe Keery and Maya Hawke, they stole the show in my eyes. It was just really awesome to just see everybody together for the LA premiere. And I have to say, Netflix and the Duffer Brothers gave us a ton of content that day when, like, clearly they were very busy promoting Volume 1.
Yeah, it was almost overwhelming. I was up like editing our last episode that night and
Good
then
girl.
Didn't really sleep much because I ended up like getting distracted by all the stuff going on with the premiere. And I mean, Joe Keery looked amazing. I loved all the content of Joe and Maya together. I didn't watch a ton of the interviews and stuff yet just because it was like too much, but
Yeah.
they all looked amazing, like literally just so gorgeous. And it's just kind of crazy to see how much they've grown up since this show started. And even just like, I think the Duffers posted something about having like folding chairs at their season 1 premiere, and just like the spectacle that this premiere was, like, just shows how far this show has come and what like a pop culture like icon this show is. So it's pretty cool to watch. But yeah, that was super exciting. And they also premiered the first 5 minutes of the show.
They did. I know you have not watched yet.
I just told Stacy before we started recording. She was like, yeah, we'll talk about the first 5 minutes. I was like, I haven't watched the first 5 minutes.
Sucks, Stacy. Yeah, it was basically what everyone thought it would be about.
Yeah, but I don't really want to hear too much about it.
Yeah, like we know you, Megan. But my thoughts were, it's always hard when they do digital de-aging. That kind of took me out of it a little bit, but they did the same thing with it chapter 2. And once you know they're doing it, it's almost all you can see. But it is phenomenal that they did it. I mean, they did it in season 4 with the child who played the younger 11. I thought that looked good. But this took me out of it a little bit. The eyes were a little weird. But it was a very tense 5 minutes. It takes place after, I believe, the first episode of season 1, right before the opener, like the opener into the credits. You get to see what happened after this shocking event. It was very tense. Megan, you're going to be on the edge of your seat. I thought it was very well done. And I think it's setting up for something really big. So that was really cool. I was in dreamland. I saw everything that Friday, the next day, the 7th, because it was so funny. We're all in a group chat. And literally I was like, guys, I don't think I'm going to be able to stay up for this premiere. Like, I'm an early bird now. Like, I go to bed super early. So I was like, tell me if anything exciting happens. And the group chat was really funny because once Kiri hit the carpet, everybody was like, Stacey, wake up. I was dead to the world. I ended up watching a lot of the content of the premiere and the red carpet. And
Like
then
the
I watched
next
the
day,
first 5
yeah.
minutes. But on Stranger Things Day, they also did a teaser trailer for Tales of 85, the animated series that is set for Netflix 2026, so next year. And it's supposed to take place after season 2, leading up to the summer of 85, which would be season 3. I mean, anything that's Stranger Things content. I'm not really a huge animated person now, but I believe that the actors did not come back to voice the characters. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'll definitely check it out. It's more content. And, you know, they released a bunch of behind the scenes photos for the production of season 5. So that was really cool. And then also our boy, Kiri, Joe, got nominated for a Grammy for Best Album Cover. So there's been a ton of stuff going on. Maya Hawke just did a really great podcast with Amy Poehler, where I gotta tell you, like, I could listen to that girl talk all day. The content is overwhelming, but it's just making you more and more psyched because I think we're at like 17 or 16 more days, which is unreal.
Yeah, it's definitely creeping up on us. And I think that's the thing too. Like, I'm just so nervous about knowing too much going into season 5. And I'm just trying to be able to experience it as like authentically and like non-spoilers and everything as possible, which is why I'm almost like avoiding a lot of the content. So I'm so excited, but like I want to go in like as open-minded as possible. So I might be like catching up on a lot of this stuff like after we watch volume 1. Like,
You are adorable. As Eddie Munson once said, never change, Megan.
no, it's so fun. It's just so overwhelming, and I'm scared of spoilers. So like literally our group chat, I have been just like skimming.
Oh yeah,
like,
you have been dead quiet during that thing.
I just like, I don't even, because then people were like talking about leaks and like, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like scared.
I accidentally watched a leak, but it wasn't really much of a spoiler on Twitter. And I was like, oh, that kind of made me choke up a little bit, but there was no spoiler. But yeah, like I said, the merch has been hot and heavy, which we'll talk about later.
The merch too is just too overwhelming for me too, because I want it all, but I can't buy it. So it's like,
so damn
I don't
expensive.
even want to know about it because it just makes me sad that I can't have it. So we're having a great time, and there's, like you said, just so much going on, and it's going to be here before we know it. And then we will have this time to kind of look back at and cherish as the last few weeks before the end.
The end. Are you ready to take a deep, deep dive in the dive?
Into the dive. This episode, like, so much of the lore around this podcast, like, comes from this episode. Like, our intro soundbite is from this episode.
Oh my God.
Like, the lovers like deep dives, which are literally what we're doing right now comes from this episode. Like, I feel like this episode is so just iconic and I love it so much.
It's very Skull Rock coded,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's definitely Skull Rock Broadcast coded. Like, Skull Rock Broadcast would not exist
Without
if
the
not
dive.
for this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of what we talk about in our secret segment at the end would not exist without this episode as well. So
No, it
just
would
throwing
not.
just throwing that out there.
Well, are you ready to dive on in, Megan?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So we open back at Lover's Lake, and the police have arrived, and Andy brings them, Powell and Callahan, to the shore, and Jason is like cradling Patrick's crumpled up body, and he's not looking too good. So they bring him into like Rick's kitchen, and clearly the boy is in shock. And he, even after witnessing what he witnessed, he starts claiming that it was Eddie and that he is a vessel for the devil. And I'm sorry, like, this is when I would be like, we're calling your parents now. You need to go to a hospital. You are ranting and raving.
Like a lunatic. Yeah.
Like a lunatic. And I always really liked him. What did he say? Like, how can you...
Yeah, it's a really powerful line. How do you expect to stop the devil if you don't believe he's real?
Like, that's kind of like chills right down your spine.
Yeah.
And then they do this iconic shot of a fish swimming underneath the water, and something like unseen grabs it and pulls it down.
Yeah. And then the credits.
Credits.
So there's a kind of hard scene to watch after this, which we brought this up last time because Sullivan and those government agents have sort of taken this secret agent that was working with Owens in to try to find out more information, and they're torturing him. So it looks like they're almost in like a flooded basement. Like, I'm
It
not
looks
really sure where they
nasty.
are,
Yeah.
but the agent's name is Wallace,
Mhm.
and they're asking him where Elle is. And Sullivan is basically like, there's two possible options here. Like, basically, Owen's little pet has like been remotely doing this, which, I mean, I don't know why that seems plausible.
Sure, Jan. Yeah.
But then he also says an invisible boogeyman from another dimension is slaughtering these kids. I mean, you're spot on.
Circle gets the square. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
And then they put him in that like box. Like,
It reminded me of a cross between, which is horrific, the box from Django Unchained, which was terrible, and the Boo box from Hook. Do you remember the Boo box? Oh my
no,
God.
and I really should, because Hook was one of the movies that was like constantly on it in my house. Like, my brothers loved that movie.
They throw, Glenn Close has a cameo in it, but she's playing a man pirate, and you wouldn't know unless like somebody pointed out.
Yeah.
And they throw her ass in the Boo box, and they throw scorpions in, and the pirates are going boo boo. So it reminded me of the Boo box.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't
said
want to
that
go
last
in the Boo
week,
box.
but I didn't have as much context, so that makes sense.
So now I've explained, guys, what the Boo box is.
Yeah, in case you were wondering.
You don't want to go in the Boo box.
No.
So what happens next?
We go back to the Nina Project lab, and Elle is sitting on her bed, and then you start having Brenner explain to her what happens when someone has a stroke and that like their brain gets scrambled, and he's saying that that's what he kind of thinks happened to her brain, and that just like stroke victims or can like learn how to walk again and talk again. He thinks that she can return to her full power. She just has to like re-experience these memories that happened to her that she's blocked out. And she asks about the memory with all of the blood, and he said like, that's another memory. It's a more powerful memory. Like, you're not quite ready for that, but kind of like alludes that that's where they're leading to. So
I'd be like, bitch, did I commit like multiple homicide?
yeah,
Kind of, that's a big weight on my mind.
yeah, exactly.
Ugh. So we go next to a construction site, and there's a man who is taking yet another trip to the porta potty, and he makes a comment about like somebody go easy on the onions. Like, we could have gone without that, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I guess you gotta put some character in the show here somehow. I don't know.
That's the onion guy.
What the purpose of that scene was, I'm not really sure.
Porta potties are just, they're a last resort, and this onion guy had to use it, but he lays down his like heavy, work belt, and it has a big ass walkie-talkie in it. And Eddie, like a ninja, like a cat, like a gazelle, he creeps in, grabs it, and then scurries away. And I love that the transition is to it's Girls on Film or Either Hungry Like the Wolf. It's a Duran Duran song, and they're in.
I think it's Girls on Film.
It's Girls, which
that
would be the second time this is used, because it's used in the Halloween episode in season 2. And as they're riding in the station wagon, I love that like Robin's kind of crashing out.
Yeah,
she's like, What the hell kind of news are we going to tell Eddie? Like, literally, and she kind of, like, spells it out. Like, yeah, there's this weird, like, dream, like, demon, and he's in a different dimension, And I love that she makes the comment, she's like, I just can't stand seeing those doe eyes of his, when we let him down. And I love that Dustin and Steve are in the backseat munching on literally all of, like, Eddie's food supply run, and I love that they have the 6-pack for him and the Pringles, and Nancy's like, it's gonna be fine, we're just gonna this is our plan and we're fine. But then as they start heading down the road to Rick's, she's like, oh shit, because there's newsstands and police, and what's going on there?
So there's a press conference happening, and they get out of the car and kind of listen in. And you also see at home the Wheelers, the Sinclairs, Dustin's mom, they're all watching. And they end up saying that another student was killed. They say that Patrick was killed, and they identify Eddie as a person of interest.
Like,
which really,
yeah.
Like, fuck. They're and all the kids are like, yeah, like he's fucked. Like,
I love that
Steve's reaction. Yeah,
he's
like
this is bad.
So concerned.
And what happens? There's kind of a familiar little soundbite.
Yeah, just at that moment, Eddie calls in on the walkie. He's broadcasting from Skull Rock.
He sure is.
Skull Rock, do you know it? Yeah. So he calls and he finally gets a hold of them, and Robin and Dustin ask where he is, and he says that he's at Skull Rock, and Steve assures everyone that he knows exactly where that is.
He breaks the sound barrier running to his man.
So Argyle and the guys arrive at Susie's house in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
This is a crazy scene because
it is.
Susie has a lot of brothers and sisters. And the first sibling that answers the door, which we find out later is named Cornelius, shoots Mike with an arrow. The next two are having a sword fight. The next one says, I've been bitten, which is like a vampire reference. There's a couple of vampire references in this episode.
Yeah.
Interesting. And she acts like she's dying. Then 2 more kids are cooking.
Father's kidneys.
So don't use too much salt. And then Cornelius shuts off the electricity at the breaker.
Do you know how dangerous that is? I have a breaker system like that in my house.
Yeah.
And this was lawless. That house was probably built in the 60s. Kid, you could have gotten zapped.
Yeah. So Eden shows up, which is Susie's older sister.
Which I love that it's such her look and style is inspired by, I believe it's Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely see that. But she puts Cornelius in timeout and says that she's getting father. He hisses like a feral little animal. And then they run into her, and Argyle is immediately smitten. Yes. He says he would do anything for her. Yep. But she tells them that Susie is in her room. She tells them how to get there, tells them to give her a little shove when they see her. and they end up finding her. She's not in her room, but the window is open and she's out on the roof adjusting the antenna.
I do love that she has a hard hat on. Way to go, girl.
I mean,
safety first.
Safety first, exactly. So I don't know why she's adjusting the antenna though. Like for her radio?
She's in Utah. Maybe it was like breezy out.
Yeah.
Is Utah breezy?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
So they tell her that they need her help. And she's like very just like, I don't know. Her reaction is so funny. But yeah, then that's Susie's house, which fun fact, it is a different house than they used in season 3 for Susie's.
Really?
Yeah, which I don't know why they decided to do that.
I never noticed that. Huh.
I think they make her room look pretty similar, but like the exterior of the house, you see like a shot of it in season 3, and it's definitely a different house.
Oh.
And I guess you never really like have actors at the exterior of the house in season 3, just like have a shot of it. But in this, you actually do see them like get out of the van and walk up to the front door. And this house is in Atlanta, and it's like 5 minutes from the lab. I've been to like both of those locations.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's funny.
So we go to Russia. Joyce and Yuri are sitting outside the crashed plane. Somehow they survived. And they got like a little fire going. And Yuri is tied up. And Murray comes back and he's like, yeah, I think I saw, like, is it a town or did he see the prison?
They weren't really sure. Like where they were gonna go was wrong because Yuri's like, no, I need to tell you where to go or whatever.
Yeah, so basically Murray comes back to see if he's found anything, and they're literally in the middle of nowhere. So they kind of like, I first of all love that they try to like scare Yuri. They're like, we're gonna leave you alone. And the bears...
well, he's trying to like negotiate a price to help them. Like he's not really in much he doesn't have much room to negotiate at this point. Like
no,
they're like, you're tied up, we're just gonna leave you for the bears. Like
it's basically they were playing bad cop, and I just love that.
But then he does like agree obviously to help them, and then they start setting off towards like the town where his warehouse is with like all of the stuff that they'll need. But then you go to the prison.
Oh, girl.
And they're taking the prisoners in for basically like their last meal.
And it's this massive feast. And at first, like, Dimitri is laughing and stuff because it's something they didn't expect. And they're all digging in. And they're all having a really great time. And basically, like, one of the Russian people are saying, like, oh, this is to strengthen us up because they want us in good condition to fight. And Dimitri's like, we all need to stick together. And pretty much Hopper is just like, first of all, I love that he has the flask and he kind of like pockets it. But then he describes, because there's the legend of like a monster in the prison. And he's like, oh, like 12 feet tall, no face, and he then kind of like breaks it down for them. He's like, guys, this isn't for us to be strong, to be like it, to be a fair fight. This is to fatten us up. It's going to be feeding time. And I'd be like, well, I just lost my appetite.
Yeah, but you think that he's like given up hope and that he's basically just getting drunk, which is what he wants everyone to think.
Yep.
Which we find out later that wasn't necessarily the case. But we cut over to the lab, or like Elle's memory.
Love a game of Plinko.
Yeah, I know. We both are pretty big fans of Plinko. But Elle is trying real hard to get that number 3, I think, but not working out.
Guys, this is what kids had to do before there were smartphones. That's how you'd occupy your time, especially if you're held hostage, in a lab.
You had a whole Plinko set at your house?
Oh, yeah. Whole Price is Right. Entire soundstage in my living room. But, that's what you had to do if you were being, like, kept as a lab rat. You just played Plinko and you just tried to get that number. Yeah. And she's getting kind of frustrated. And who comes on over?
So the orderly, which I don't really know, like, if we have a name for him. So a lot of times I just like think of him as Jamie in my head. But Jamie comes over.
Strolls on over.
They have a little chat, and he tells her that she reminds him of someone that he knew really well, and that person was number one. And Elle says that, like, Papa says that one didn't exist.
Yeah, it's a legend.
And Jamie's like, Papa doesn't always tell the truth. So
planting seeds.
Yeah. And he tells her that she needs to find a memory that makes her sad, but also angry to sort of channel.
Yeah.
And he basically tells her that woman that came into the lab that day when she was playing in the Rainbow Room with 8.
And I love that he makes a reference. He goes, when 8 was still here.
Yeah.
So you're almost like, was she transferred? Did she escape? Because we know she ends up eventually getting out.
Right.
But we see the flashback from season 2 when literally her mother is like trying to barge in. And he's
like, that was your mom.
That was your mother. And I love it. It's such a heartbreaking line because right away 11 is like, Papa said she died having me. And yet again, he's like, Papa doesn't always tell the truth.
Right. Exactly.
Planting seeds.
Then do you see her in the tank?
Yeah, and Owens is starting to worry, being like, maybe we should have told her the truth. You know, she's going to drown in there. And, like, Brenner's like, no, she's going to swim. You know, we need to, like, do we risk everything? We need to go through this process, which I'm sure is very frustrating.
Right. And then another Star Wars reference that I forgot to mention last week. But, I mean, her outfit in the tank does kind of remind you of, like, the beginning of Empire Strikes Back when they put Luke in that tank with, like, the big white diaper on.
Yeah, after the Tauntaun.
Yeah, after he has to spend the night inside of a Tauntaun.
Megan, my dream is to have a Tauntaun sleeping bag. Like, because I love that when you unzip it, it's all the white intestines. And I always think of Harrison Ford going, oh, I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
It's such a good scene, man. It's gross, but
it's gross, but you got to do what you got to do.
We're in the woods. Steve is determined to get them to Skull Rock. He's kind of arguing with Dustin because the compass is telling them that Skull Rock should be a different way. But
Steve knows because, you know what? He made it a super popular makeout spot.
He practically invented the place.
Yeah.
But Lucas, I think, is talking to Max, and he sort of feels bad about Patrick.
Like he sensed that something was going on, kind of felt bad, hints that, you know, he would always say that, like, oh, he fell or this or that.
Yeah, he had a black eye, like, so he obviously had stuff going on.
Yeah.
And he realizes that everyone who Vecna targets has something that was, like, hurting them in their life.
And I like that I like that Max kind of takes ownership because Lucas feels bad. He's like, I should have known something was wrong. And she's like, no, I pulled away. This was my fault, you know? So I kind of like that they have that moment. It's a bit of a heart-to-heart between the two of them, that they're kind of owning that this was bigger than they could have even handled.
Yeah. Then also Nancy and Robin are chatting, and this is like a cute little interaction because we haven't really seen Nancy have any friends that are girls.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Jonathan, and Robin is kind of saying that she wants her friends to be happy, and then Nancy is like, oh, does that mean, like, we're friends? And it was cute. I don't love that, like, it sort of seems like Robin is hinting towards, like, Nancy, like, being with Steve. Like, I don't know. It's like a weird
she's pushing it a little bit, if you ask me. Like, she kind of sees what's going on, but I like that Nancy is, like, almost the same thing. Like, Jonathan, we can't get a hold of him. I thought he should be here. You know, it's almost like we get, when he spiral out with Argyle, we get the other side of the relationship with Nancy.
Yeah, true.
Long distance relationships, guys, they're a bitch.
They find Skull Rock, and I just remember, like, seeing memes about how this was, like, two divorced parents, like, exchanging their child for the weekend. Because
it's so perfect.
Steve is, like, giving Dustin such a hard time for being a butthead because, like, he knew where Skull Rock was and Dustin didn't believe him. And then Eddie jumps down out of nowhere and is like, I concur. Like, Dustin, you are butthead.
And just like the look that they give each other when Dustin hugs him, it's total divorced parents energy. But I love that everybody starts surrounding him and, you know, they found Eddie, which is great. And they're at Skull Rock, which we've been there. Woo!
Exactly.
And
Best
then we
place.
go to probably one of the series' most frustrating scenes. There's town hall meeting going on, and all the parents, all the families are there. And right away, they're asking really good questions and stuff. And Jason and the basketball crew come in, and they take the fuck over. And Powell loses complete control. And he starts like, Jason has made photocopies of the yearbook photos of the Hellfire Club. And it's the whole satanic panic thing going on, which was very heavy going on in the 80s. And he's like, you know, 3 people have been murdered so far. We're, you know, led to believe that this entire Hellfire Club is dangerous. And literally the townspeople start joining in with the hysteria. And so Adam, this really great actor who played an extra in the show, he's the first one to stand up. And at first you think he's going to walk out, but then he's like, you heard him, let's go.
Yeah.
And I just love the helplessness that the Sinclairs and the Wheelers and Mrs. Henderson look as they see the entire town. They're going to target their children. And it's a very scary, overwhelming, and frustrating scene.
Mason is so good in like
Yeah.
all of his scenes, especially like the one earlier in this episode. It's his emotion and everything is very powerful. But
Really
then this
good.
one too, it's like a callback to him giving that rousing speech before at the basketball pep
Yep.
rally,
Mhm.
like because he has like Jason's character has this like talent for kind of like inspiring people and getting them on his side.
Yeah.
And he calls Hellfire a cult. And I love Erica standing up and like calling bullshit. Like, Hellfire's not a cult, it's a club for nerds. Like,
Literally none of the parents did, which I'm not going to judge them for. I'm not a parent, but the fact that Erica was the only one with balls to say something, props
Yeah.
to her.
yeah. But like you said, the cops try a little too late to kind of say that nobody should be interfering with this. Like,
It gives very, and I know you haven't seen it, but there's a movie from 1985 called Silver Bullet, and it's by Stephen King. And there's a scene in a bar that happens very similar to that, where it becomes a mob. And the priest is trying to stop them, and the sheriff goes, what you guys are doing is private justice. This is like, you're literally becoming a lynch mob. Like, you guys need to stop. This is how innocent people get hurt. So it was very similar to this scene where you just see in a matter of minutes, a few teenagers change the entire like point of view of this entire town. And now not only is Eddie being hunted, but all these children as well.
yeah, exactly. So we cut back to Salt Lake City, and Susie is sitting there, and she's saying that that's a lot to process, that might be the craziest thing she's ever heard. So at first, you're sort of led to believe that they've filled her in on like the whole story, but then you realize that they've come up with like this elaborate lie to tell
American
her
Nintendo.
that they are trying to enter a contest for this video game console to win it for Dustin, and that they need to call in and find the location of this like computer so that they can win the contest. Like, so
Anything for her
she's
dusty bun, yeah.
right. She's on board, but she's like, unfortunately, when she changed Dustin's grade in the computer at the very beginning of the season, she felt so guilty that she ended up confessing to her father.
First
and
mistake.
He took away her computer, but she sort of has the spark of an idea and says there might be a way. So
As Argyle would say, American Nintendo.
all of the families go to the Wheeler house.
Yes.
And they're all freaking out. Like, Karen's freaking out because they're not back from the movies. And Erica's like, I hate to break it to you, but they lied to you, Mrs. Wheeler.
Yeah.
And Holly has a little line here where she's like, liar, liar, pants on fire. But Karen ends up calling someone and she calls the police.
I do love her going, our children are not murderers, Ted. It's like, sure.
She's always putting words in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
so funny. And the score, the sympathizer music is very similar to like Halloween 2. I always got those vibes. So it's very like chaotic and you can tell they're starting to panic. But then we go to Skull Rock. And we have the iconic Eddie just squatting down, finishing his water, and he's kind of filling them in on what happened the night before. And I love that he's just like, you can tell he's just so exhausted. And he's like, well, I did what I did best. I ran, which what the hell else were you going to do? And that's when, you know, you see them go, well, around what time do you think this happened? And he goes, I know exactly what time. And he says, my walkie wasn't the only thing that got soaked. And he takes off his digital watch and throws it to Nancy. And that's when they realize that was about the same time that their flashlights all went kapooey. And they're all trying to kind of like figure out, okay, well, how do we get into this dimension? How do we kill Vecna? And I love that they're all saying different things. They're like, we put a stake through his heart. We use a bullet. Would a bullet work? And then right away, you know, Steve's like, is he like a vampire? So it's really funny with everybody going back and forth. And you see Henderson is literally like pacing back and forth with his compass. And that's when he's like, you know, what does he go? He goes like,
bada bada boom,
bada
maybe?
bada boom.
Something like
And
that.
he kind of like remembers what happened in season 1 with the compass, which Lucas immediately picks up on, that the compass, you know, he was right all along. And right away, you know, Steve's like, your equipment's faulty. And he's like, no, I knew where Skull Rock was, but the compass was off. That means there's a magnetic pull. There must be a gate. And I love, you know, it must be a smaller gate. You see Robin go, sick size gate. So they're like, well, if there's a gate, then maybe we could be able to get into this other dimension, find Vecna, say, you know, clear Eddie's name and save Max. And they kind of like right away, what say you, Eddie the Banished? Eddie just has this iconic line, which I have tattooed on me, where, you know, he basically is like, so you're saying that, you know, you want me to follow you into Mordor. And then he goes, well, the Shire. And it's just so beautiful. And he looks so great. He looks up at the sky and he goes, the Shire is burning. So he stands up and he goes, so Mordor it is. And just Henderson just jumps up and down. It's just so giddy. And right away, everyone is like, okay, I guess we're going. And you just see Steve going, what is Mordor? Like, he was me at that moment. Luckily, I have been filled in. I have watched all the Lord of the Rings things thanks to my friend Billy. But I do love that iconic moment because it's almost like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to go find another dimension and find this evil wizard. It's a really powerful, cool scene.
Yeah. I also liked that Nancy made the connection that when like the Demogorgon would come and like make kills and stuff, that it would leave behind like a gate, which she knew because she ended up going through that little gate
in the tree.
In the tree in the very first season. So she was the one who kind of connected the fact that like maybe it's the places where people have been killed that gates are forming, which ends up being correct.
Yeah.
But totally agreed. This was actually literally the scene that made me obsessed with Eddie Munson. Because I was not obsessed with him at the beginning of the season.
You were an Eddie girly first, huh?
Well, this made me this scene made me obsessed with Eddie, and then season 4, like in general, made me obsessed with the show.
Yeah.
And then I went back to kind of like revisit the first 3 seasons and like loved just watching like Steve's arc through the first first 3 seasons. But I have read all of the Lord of the Rings books, so I was not unfamiliar with like what he was saying here. So that's
I tried, dude. So good for you.
I read them all in high school, like when the movies were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to read the book before I saw the movie, so I had read The Hobbit and all 3 Lord of the Rings books. Like, wow, so I knew.
Hot damn, good
I like
for you.
understood the reference, like,
yeah.
Which is why it made me like a big fan of Eddie. Like,
I love that.
And I remembered that, like, you know, there's Lord of the Rings references in the first season with the kids calling it Mirkwood and everything like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
And a lot of people bring up the fact that in the movies the Shire doesn't burn. That's actually something that only happens in the books. Also,
Which
I have
would
a
make
lot.
sense, yeah.
I have a lot of experience with stupid people on the internet because I have posted this scene multiple times on like our Skull Rock Instagram and my personal Study Stories Instagram, and the amount of people who are like, the Lord of the Rings movies didn't even exist yet, and who are so unaware that
The books, you
that
dillweed.
the books came out way before the 80s. So, and there also was like an animated series
in the late 70s, yeah.
yeah, from the 70s. Such a great scene. We love it. And then we go back to the lab. Brenner is setting up a game for the kids.
Yes.
He's putting the two circles on the ground, and he's saying that they're basically going to have to like fight each other.
Through their minds.
That they can't let anger or emotion invade their thoughts, which was very like, you know, Yoda coded. But he chooses two, and two just ends up beating everyone. Like, I don't really understand what he was trying to do here.
Number two is
awful.
Is exactly what he is. He's a turd.
Yeah. So then only 11 is left, and she actually uses that memory of her mom that the orderly had just told her about, and it makes her angry, and she is able to beat two. And it's actually it's similar to what she did in with Kali, like telling her to use her anger too.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people see some sort of like parallels between like what she was going through with like that training with Kali, and also like this, like with the orderly, like him telling her to use the anger, where Brenner is saying not to use the anger.
Because I feel like Brenner, he didn't want them to lose control, which doesn't end up happening. He wanted to control them, and he knew that if they use that kind of emotion, they would become almost like unstoppable and unattainable. And it just really reminds me of this iconic line from Patrick Swayze in the 1984 movie Red Dawn. He tells all the kids, I think we should have a Red Dawn screening. You would enjoy it. Tells his brother Charlie Sheen, after unfortunately their parents have been killed and they're in the woods and they're all crying, and he's like, turn it to something else. Turn it into anger so we can do something about it. So that line kind of always makes me think of that. And that's what 11 does. She turns that horrible memory, that emotion, into strength, as in ammunition almost, you know?
Yeah. But Brenner does seem to be a little suspicious of the orderly in this moment. And he must have realized that he had talked to 11, which is weird. But then we're back in Russia, and Yuri, Joyce, and Murray arrive in the town, and they go into the church. Yuri notices right away that Hopper has been in his peanut butter stash.
Oh, someone has been in my peanut butter stash. You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, that was great impression.
That was great.
They look at the weapons, and they look at a map, and Joyce and Murray fill Yuri in on their plan to have him in a silent role as Murray.
Takes glasses off. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to like act like Murray is Yuri bringing in the prisoners or the Americans. So
as they're being led back to their cells, Hopper does something pretty clever. He, is acting like he's drunk, and that he starts talking to Dimitri, and
he picks a fight.
He picks a fight. He starts talking about his son and his wife, and Dimitri gets pissed, and they start actually fighting, and the guard has to separate them. So when they get back to the cell, right away, Hopper's like, so that monster that we're going to be fighting, I know there is only one thing that it's scared of, and that will kill it. it's fire. So he shows that he lifted the lighter off the guard. And it's just such a great moment because the music starts swelling. And like Dimitri's like, you know, you son of a bitch. And they start laughing. And of course, Hopper, I love him groaning, going, don't make me laugh. My ribs are broken. But it's just such a feel-good moment because you're terrified for these characters.
Yeah, exactly. And he's also got the, like you had said before, he's got the alcohol too, which when he was like drunk and fell on the ground, you realize that that's what he was doing.
Pocketed
like,
it.
Yeah, getting the alcohol. So back in Hawkins, Powell and Callahan are driving down the road. Powell is telling Callahan to stay calm because Callahan is kind of like freaking out about the civilians and them like mocking them.
Yeah, the drunk hicks like are riding by with guns.
Yeah. And they get a call that the station wagon was found near Skull Rock.
I love that Callahan goes, that makeout spot. And I'm like, how do you know? Ew. Maybe he busted a bunch of kids.
Yeah. At Susie's, they get on the computer while the siblings are distracting their dad. So they have come up with this plan, and she's able to log in, and she's able to find like do some crazy stuff and track the IP address to like find the location, and they're talking about the internet, and
it's just going to change the world.
Yeah, the line like, what's the internet? And that's what the little like score, the song from the score is like called in this part. So yeah, so it's a fun little reference to the internet. But then they're like, well, can you print this out? And she's like, no, my like skills stop at like geolocation or something like that, sarcastically. But she does print it out. And I
do like that, like, while this is all going on, it's got this like, you know, whimsical, like Spielberg-esque kind of score going on, you know, very Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, it's really fun and uplifting. But after they've printed it out, and I'm telling you, those kids, they worked well together. Well-oiled machine. Even Tabitha pretending that like her throat got like torn out, like good for her. But then they go outside and they smell a skunk.
Yeah, they're like, I think we spooked a skunk, but it's actually Argyle and Eden in the back of the van, getting to know each other a little.
You know, I got to be honest, I'm not really good at teamwork, so I feel like I would have been those two characters. Yeah. You know, keeping an eye on things.
They probably, you know, just needed to supervise.
Yeah.
So they're down by the lake, and this is such a fun scene because it's like Steve and Eddie, and they both offer to like help Robin, and she just like puts her hands on top of their heads and like
presses down on their head. She's like, I'll go this way. Yeah, because I love that the compass leads them to the shore.
Yeah.
And right away, Eddie's like, I knew this place looked familiar, and his boat from the night before has been, you know, hidden. So as they're getting on, and I love Eddie like being a gentleman and helping Nancy.
Yeah.
Being like Wheeler. And then Steve gets on, and right away you see like, you know, Dustin being like, what the hell? And they're like, you know, what do you want us to, you know, sink? So they think at first Steve's going to stay with them, but Steve gets on. I love him lipping, sorry. And they have his compass. And right away, I love as they're paddling away that, you know, Max and Lucas and Dustin are pissed off being left behind on the shore. Robin's being such an asshole. She's like waving to them, being like, miss you already. Bedtime is at this time. And I love Dustin just flipping her off. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so funny. At the lab, Elle ends up seeing the orderly being punished.
With like a cattle prod.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. But
Have you seen the meme where it's like packing for a 3-day trip and like the subtitle says 11 pants?
No, but I get it.
So stupid. Continue. I'm sorry, guys.
Because she's like panting in that scene.
Yeah, and it's like Max 11 pants. Are you done with me?
Oh, I knew it was going to be a rough one.
Yep.
So she goes back into the rainbow room because she has like won this like extra free time when she like, you know, beat 2.
More Plinko. Yeah.
But the older kids, they come in and they basically are bullying and attacking her.
Which, where is the adult supervision?
Right.
This is fucked.
And this is what doesn't track for me, because she looks towards the cameras and they're like, do you see a light? Like, must have been something with the power. But if the camera wasn't recording, how did Brenner get this footage for her like memory experience?
Girl,
That's a plot hole, right?
that's you know what? We're gonna take that up with the Duffer Brothers.
Because he's like, everything in my lab was recorded. That's how we were able to like put this together for you. But like, if the camera was turned off in that room, how did he know that
Maybe they
happened?
put 2 and 2 together, because remember, like, 2 gets the collar the next day. So like maybe they just put 2 and 2 together. This is what happened.
Yeah. Or there was like another camera that was recording that they didn't know about.
It was like a nanny cam, the Plinko board. We actually had a camera in it.
Or
Yeah.
like they thought that they had turned the camera off, but they hadn't really. But also like, if that was really happening, like, I feel like the adults should have intervened, but you know, these adults are not very.
They're not on top of things,
no.
okay?
But she ends up seeing a flash of that other memory again, and she ends up thinking that because she was being bullied and she was so angry with all of these people, that she was the one that killed all of them. And that's what she starts to like think actually happened.
I'd be like, they beat me up. You know what? Shit happens. You know what? Play circus games, win clown prizes.
But this is another great scene. They're back on the lake.
They are back on the lake.
And they realize like the compass goes wonky again, and like they realize they must be over the gate, and Steve stands up and he starts undressing.
Yep, and right away they're like, Steve, what are you doing? Which yet again, it is March. Like that, is this a heated lake?
Yeah.
And he goes right away like, I'm so, like, you find out that he used to be a lifeguard, which something tells me that's why he applied for Scoops, because Billy Hargrove became a lifeguard. He probably was like, this man nearly killed me. I'm not working at the same pool as him. But he said he was a lifeguard for 3 years, and he used to be the swim team's co-captain, which I'm like,
right. And I love the behind the scenes or like the fun trivia fact that like that was something that they were going to do in season 1 was make him captain of the swim team.
They waxed him down and everything. And then they were like, oh, we don't have time to film it.
Yeah.
Which Steven Esposito, like, God bless America, but use your imagination.
So they were able to like bring back that lore that they had planned for season 1 in season 4 with Steve.
Which no wonder, like, you know, Steve got so hairy. If you like wax that hair, it's going to come back tenfold. But he starts like undressing, and I love that, like, right away, like, Robin catches, you know, anybody would be looking at that.
I mean, you can't blame her.
You can't blame her. And I love
she
like,
catches
Eddie,
Nancy watching.
Yeah, like, and then I love immediately Eddie, like, puts a cigarette in his mouth, and everyone's like, yeah, you needed a cigarette after seeing Steve shirtless. And Robin's like, gross, and like plucks it out of his mouth, and he looks so stunned. But what's happening on the shore is
I loved Eddie putting a flashlight in a bag and handing it to Steve. Like, that was very sweet.
Smart thinking. You're like, cute.
Yeah, but on the shore, Dustin and Lucas are talking about, you know, when did Steve get so hairy? And Lucas has the binoculars, and Max is like, let me see. And she takes the binoculars, and she's just looking.
You know what? She represented all of us, you know, so good for you, girl.
Yeah. So Steve ends up diving. It's a beautiful dive into the water.
It's a beautiful dive, yeah.
Dustin cleverly comes up with the term Watergate.
Watergate, which no one appreciates this kid's cleverness. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Steve is like a very impressive free diver. Like, he's down there for over a minute, like, and he's just driving around looking for the gate. He ends up finding it.
Which it's such a cool effect when he puts, like, it's red and it's glowing underwater. And I remember, like, there was, like, a quick, like, clip of him in the trailer underwater. And I'm like, what is this? Like, you know, and you see him put his hand against it and it almost pulsates. And you see, like, what looks like tentacles or vines underneath the surface. So he starts swimming up because he's like, okay, I found a gate, you know?
Yeah, but unfortunately, something follows him as he swims back up.
Yeah.
And just at that moment, the cops are arriving and they're coming
Whoops.
down the hill. And Steve comes up out of the water, scares everybody, tells everybody that he found the gate.
Like a merman.
He does look like a merman.
If you know, you know. I love that he goes, it's not a mama gate and it's not a snack size gate, but it's pretty damn big. And I like that on the shore, like Max knows enough because they're like, if the police find Eddie, we're screwed. So Max starts running and she's like, over here, officers. So the kids start running in the opposite direction through the woods and the cops follow them. But as Steve is like telling them about the gate, it's just so like Jaws coded because suddenly he gets pulled under for a second. And I love just like everyone on the boat is stunned and he looks at them just as stunned and then gets pulled. And it's literally like just right away, them all screaming. It tears my heart out that all three of them scream Steve. And it's such a cool effect. And the fact that a lot of this was done practically, you know, they had him in a weighted, like, you know, belt and stuff. And you see him struggling. The tentacle is around his ankle. And what does it do?
So it ends up pulling him all the way down through the gate.
What a cool effect, him being like flipped right side up.
Yeah, dragged across the lake bed.
That's when his back gets grated up.
Yeah. And as that's happening, the cops, like you said, are continuing to chase the kids, but Dustin ends up tripping and they catch them.
Yep.
Luckily, they're like far enough away from the lake at that point. Mm-hmm. But back on the lake, Nancy immediately dives in after.
Yeah. And right away, you know, she tells him, stay here. And then, you know, you see Robin, she gets on the edge and, you know, right away, Eddie's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She said to stay right here. She's in charge. And Robin's like, I made that shit up. Plucks her nose, very Stacy coded, and just goes backwards. And what does Eddie do?
So he complains very loudly and ends up just like falling in after them.
Yeah.
But down in the upside down, the empty lake bed, Steve is like the most attractive he's ever been.
Oh, my, when he stays up in just the sweats, shirtless, like, guys, we're trying to like reel it back a little bit, but just with the red and blue lightning going off behind him, and he's just standing there looking like just a real torn up like vision.
Yeah.
And then
I have not edited this scene enough, I don't think, because
I feel like you have one coming our way.
Yeah.
Because it is good. And you just see him look and he hears screeching. And this is like, besides like the few little clips we've seen before the Upside Down, this is the first time we've truly seen up close and personal these demo bats. And they're flying in the distance. And next thing you know, they start diving towards him. And he grabs what looks like an old oar and he starts fighting them off. And it just looks so damn fucking hot.
But like scary too, because then they end up like attacking him. One gets around his neck.
Which
they're
is so
biting into his sides.
And what somebody once told me, they said the demo bats are going towards the kidneys. They're going towards fluid.
Ugh.
So that's like very fatal. And it's just such a cool but very concerning shot that he's trying to like not get strangled by the tail of one of the bats. He's laying on the ground and you see them feeding and just biting into his flesh. And as the lightning flashes, it pans up and then it cuts to black. And I have to tell you, Megan, when I first saw this, I thought Steve was a goner. Thank God for streaming and that there was the next episode right after, because I don't think I've ever felt such panic in my life. I remember being like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Steve, wait a second.
I can't remember if I watched these two episodes back to back or not, because I feel like I told you I had watched like one episode a night for a while when I was watching season 4.
Sick bastard.
And which I know we've already decided I'm not going to be able to do for volume 1, but yeah, I can't. I feel like I probably didn't and watched the next episode immediately, but
yeah,
I can't really remember because the next episode literally like changed my brain chemistry, so I'm so excited.
Hands down, I cannot wait to go through the Massacre of Hawkins High. But this was such a great setup for it because it, you know, obviously leads into the iconic opening. But the dive, clearly is very Skull Rock coded. This is when things are really getting serious. The kids are being targeted. They're going back into the upside down. The whole underwater aspect is cruel. But I actually own a Butcher Billy print of Steve for the dive. You know how he did artwork for each episode? It's in my bathroom, and it's so iconic. I love staring at it because it's just, yesterday was technically the 41st anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love that we all made that connection, you, me, and Brandy, that Nancy getting pulled down the drain in the bathtub is very Steve coded from the dive.
Yeah, definitely. I love all of the little connections to that movie and that franchise that we see in season 4 and apparently are going to see more of in season 5. So yeah, love this episode. Love everything about it. It's great.
Love it.
I feel like we talked a lot about like what's going on with all of the stuff for season 5 already at the beginning. Yeah. But I'll let you kind of go over some of your favorite merch, I guess. For me, what I just thought was really cool was we did have some friends that were able to go to that pop-up in New York for like the Walmart merch. And there's like a shirt that's like 1987, and I really want that because like, I mean, I'll show my age that's the year I was born. So I kind of love that like this final season is happening in that year. But there's just so much cool stuff. And like I said, I'm just like almost not paying enough attention to all of it just because it's overwhelming and I want everything. But what have been some highlights for you?
Well, remember, you got yourself some Steve soap coming your way.
Yes, thank you. We talked about that soap last time, and of course, Stacy had to order it.
I mean, hello. So for merch, my good friend Eli got me the special edition glow-in-the-dark Demogorgon Crunch cereal, the box. I haven't tested it out in the dark yet, but it's just so cool looking. I definitely have to take a picture of it. And that was available through Walmart on Stranger Things Day, which was incredible. Walmart and Target, they're continuing cranking out all their Stranger Things collections, especially like PJs and bomber jackets. I went by Target the other day because I was restocking on pink waffles, like the amount of red dye that is probably in my insides. But I went by just to get the Eggos, and there was such a cool Squawk jacket, but it was like $40 to $60, and I was like, I can't justify it. But it was like almost like that shiny material, and it was for the Squawk, and it was blue, and it was really cool. They have really cool windbreakers over at Box Lunch. They are more on the pricier side, but they look very vintage, which is really cool with the colors. Of course, the Iconic Moments figurines, those are really cool. There's a t-shirt at Box Lunch, which literally lists the episodes of every single season. Kind of have my eye on that. And they have a really cool stained glass decoration in Box Lunch, which you can section cut to your windows, which 11 from season 1 is shown on it. And of course, Joe is adding to his store with his tour merch. So if you kind of missed out on stuff during the tour, it is now available on his website. So definitely take a look for that. But yeah, just kind of keeping my eyes open. I already know that more pops are going to probably be getting cranked out as each volume lands. I'm just hoping we get like Steve with the chainsaw, but my friend Mark sent me a Holly Wheeler figurine, which I originally really wasn't going to get, but she just looks so cool with the colors of her outfit, and I feel like she's going to serve a really big purpose this season, so I was really excited to get that.
Cool. Yeah. I don't think I have mentioned that I did get the gold 11 on the podcast.
You
I know
did?
I told you that, but I don't think I've mentioned it because I had just gone to Target randomly one day in the past couple weeks and it was there. And I was like, I guess I have to take her home. And there was also one Steve left, just the regular season 5 Steve with the red jacket. So I did get those 2 pops recently, which is exciting.
I love that you got that. You got a Steven Harrington pop. I love that.
I mean, I have most of the Steve pops. I'm working on it. But yeah, the gold 11 is cool. And like, she's not my first 11 because I have like Elle from season 3 and like my favorite outfit, I have like the regular and the blacklight pops of Elle for that too. But
Hell yeah,
yeah.
you do.
So the gold is fun though.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I love that.
We'll see if I'm super broke, I might end up selling it.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Ah,
That's your retirement fund, baby.
yeah, I gotta
So-
at least let it appreciate a little.
Yeah, of course. Let it marinate. You're doing just fine.
But yeah, lots of fun stuff. I also eventually the Care Bears are so fucking cute.
Those are so cute, and it's such Coda because those were huge at that time.
Yeah,
so
and I
really
loved
cool.
Care Bears. So like
Really,
Yeah.
This tracks. Yeah.
So I know I've said that I like all of like the Squishmallows and just like the squishies and stuffed animals and stuff. So like I feel like I want the Care Bears eventually, at least some of them.
That is
We'll see.
adorable. I love that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for today.
I think that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. Where can they find us, Megan?
So make sure to find us on social media. We're pretty much anywhere, but we are most active on Instagram. So you can follow the podcast at Skull Rock Broadcast, and you can follow me at Steady Stories. Stacy is at Stay Still Reviews. And yeah, just come hang out with us, chat with us. Let us know what you think about the episode. Let us know how you're feeling about season 5. And we do have a Patreon as well if you would like to support us there. We do try to post bonus content. And we just really appreciate all of our Patreon members. We should do a shout out soon of our
We
Patreon
definitely should.
members.
Actually,
We try to do that once in a while, and we haven't done it in a while. So maybe next time.
Maybe next time, definitely, we want to shout you guys out. But I have tomorrow off, and I'm going to be sampling a lot of Stranger Things goodies.
Ooh,
So stay
taste
tuned for
tests.
the Patreon.
Yeah.
Taste test,
Taste
baby.
tests coming on the Patreon. And I think that's it.
I think that's it. But guys, this was fun, and over and out.
Over and out.
Eddie, I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting to suffer. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
We are back. So,
We're back.
welcome back to our secret study segment where we talk about fan fiction, typically Steve Harrington and Eddie Munson. We know that that is not for everyone. So, if that's not your jam, like turn it off. Just
Yeah.
catch us next time. Like, no harm, no foul.
You're good.
But if you want to hang out and hear about what mostly Stacy has been reading, but I have to say, I did start your fic that you talked about last time, the one about Eddie getting really high.
Hi and lonesome. Yeah,
It's
that
so
was
cute. Like, so I just read most of it, but they just got back to Eddie's trailer, and I remember you saying that like what happens is really sweet. So
It is.
maybe I'll finish it later.
I think you should. Yeah.
yeah, but it was so adorable. But anyway, what else have you been reading this week?
So I read Greetings from Bruce Lake by Sansa87. It's really good. Eddie plays a trans character, and basically what happens is Wayne, Eddie, and Steve, as a government ordeal, they haven't cleared Eddie's name just yet, and Steve was identified stealing the RV. So with everything going on, they're like, we're gonna just kind of it's almost like a witness protection kind of ordeal. We need you guys to lay low. So you find out that Eddie's mom had a small cabin at Bruce Lake, which is a real place in Indiana. So the three of them go there, and Eddie's kind of, freaked out that, when Steve finds out the truth about him, he might look at him differently. But, it's just really sweet. It was only 2 chapters so far. It hasn't been updated for a while, but the 2 chapters I did read were really good. And the reason why I discovered this author was they have worked with our friend Morning Berries, which, before I get into Morning Berries' newest thing, they did update back in August the Hate the Way It Feels So Good, which we really love, and that was a great story. I haven't finished the chapter, but it kind of jumps ahead to after the events of season 4, and it's a little angsty and stuff, but really sweet.
Yeah,
right
I
away,
have been meaning to finish that too, and I remember when the new chapter dropped, I wanted to like reread the first couple chapters, and that was why I never like got into the new chapter. But I should just read the new chapter. Like,
it's good. I do love that when we were leaving the location of where the mall was in season 3, we felt the need to share with Andy, Brandy, and Rachel about that fic. We were like, yeah, they fuck in the parking lot, and we're like giggling.
it's so hot.
We're like, it's so hot. We're like, we're driving the parking lot. We're like, we're driving where they did it.
I forgot about that.
We were insufferable. But Morning Berries recently just did a collab actually with Sansa 87, and it's called Favorite Flavor Cherry Red. It is a one-shot. Megan, oh my God. It has been so long since a smut fic has made me grasp my invisible pearls. Like, literally, I felt the need to share like how filthy it was with several people who do not read fanfic, including my coworker and friend Lauren today. And she was like, I don't know what to do with this information now that you've told me.
I'm so excited. Oh my God.
It is so good. It is modern day without really big spoilers. You find out that like one night on Halloween, you know, Eddie and Steve got kind of wasted and they may have fooled around. And Steve wakes up the next day being like, you know, some things are chafed. Well, you know, did we bring some girls back? And right away, Eddie's like, you don't remember? And he thinks he's pulling his leg. And he's like, whatever, Harrington.
Oh.
So he ghosts him. And right away, Steve's like, what did I do? He's not texting me back or anything. And it's really like at first angsty. But let's
don't give me too many spoilers. I want to experience it.
Let's just say we get some scenes at Halloween Horror Nights, which I have never been, but I know that they have done Stranger Things houses, and it was very Halloween-esque, so I think it was released at the perfect time. And let's just say that there is a moment where they need lube. So they use something else, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is. But what they use, I literally screeched. I went, ah! Like that. It was both horrifying.
Was it fake blood?
No.
Why did I know?
Girl, literally. And the excuse is, well, it's got coconut oil in it. So they give it the old college try. And like, as someone who went to effects school, I like just got off the phone telling Jeanette this. And she's like, thank you for telling me. Again, I shared this with so many people. They were like, Stacey, stop. But literally, me and Jeanette, we were like, we know what fake blood is made out of. Corn syrup. It's sticky. We've been to parties where it like, you know, gets in between your boobs. It's disgusting. If you ever had it on you, it is not pleasant. So just the fact that they used it as a lube, I don't care if it was Joe Keery himself. I'd be like, no, honey, there's a time and a place. We cannot. And also, it's fake blood. Like, you look down, you're like, it's gonna instant boner killer. So like, it sounds disturbing, but it's so goddamn hot.
God.
And you're gonna have to probably delete this whole thing. It just speaks volumes of Stacey, because I was like, this is disturbing. This is kind of fucking hot. So please read it.
Oh my gosh. Definitely gonna have to read that one for sure. All right. I think we should end it there.
Yeah, we should end it. We should stop now.
Peace.
Peace.